Have you ever looked at your life and wondered how you got here? My name is Raeanna, and I am a watercolor artist, and I can truly say that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed that I would be making art that inspires people while living on a 5-acre homestead. 10 years ago, I was living in a DV women's shelter with 2 small children. No job, no money, wondering how I could afford to live, let alone a lawyer and court costs to keep us safe. Those days were dark and fearful, the kind of fear that makes it impossible to eat. When you live each day in survival mode, you do what you can to get through the day. There were 2 things I remember doing most those days: praying desperately and pushing my kids on the swings. Sometimes that was all I had the strength to do. As days went by, I had the opportunity to witness prayer after prayer answered. From desperate prayer to desperate prayer, the Lord heard me and delivered me from all my fears. Time went by and I still prayed and pushed my kids on the swings. Blessings showed up in forms of shelter, jobs, help with whatever our needs were. It was hard for me to need help. I wanted to be the one helping others, not receiving it. I never had much growing up, but I did have my pride. My family struggled to make ends meet, but it was frowned upon to accept assistance. I was taught to work hard and earn everything I have. I had to humble myself and learn that it was okay to accept a hand up. Sometimes we need a lifeline to get through a hard time. As I learned to trust God, He also showed me who I was to Him. After years of being told I was worthless, God showed me I was precious, that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, that He has plans for my life and I am not here by mistake. Eventually, I married an incredible man who treats me like no one ever has. He adopted my 2 children, and we had 3 more, and 1 daughter who is with the Lord. We bought an old brick home on 5 acres that we have been fixing up since we moved in. It's a slow process with 5 kids and doing everything ourselves, little by little. I started a blog to help people learn homestead and gardening skills that I was learning because I grew up in the city and I had no concept of growing things or raising chickens. Then I joined a farmer's market and sold eggs and plant starts, cut flowers, tea, and some produce. It was a hot summer, and I didn't produce as much excess as I thought I would, so I started bringing some of my paintings. I made fine art giclée prints, and it surprised me that people wanted my art more than my other products. My art touched their hearts, and I got opportunity to pray with people and show them love and encouragement. That was the moment I knew I was meant to be an artist. I can flash back to so many moments in my life that pointed to art. I was always told people liked my art and I did things differently, but not to pursue it as a career because artists starve. They only find success after they are gone, so what's the point? I never considered that one day I would make art that is meaningful to people, that a painting might make someone feel close to their mom, or give them hope to cling on to during an unexpected change in life. I was able to give something meaningful to others, and this changed my life. I painted this self-portrait as a way to share my story, how I came into this world from nothing, with nothing to offer, yet received everything. Keys to a kingdom I could never attain by my own works, and a crown of life that would be my most precious possession. I named this Art Nouveau style portrait Alfirin, which means crown immortal in Elvish, or crown of life. I originally entered this in an online self-portrait still life contest. I decided it wouldn't matter if I won, just if I shared my testimony with as many as needed to hear it. I wrote a blog post with that testimony. I'll put a link in the description if you want to read a more in-depth account of my testimony from homeless to artist. The online contest didn't amount to anything. My painting didn't even make the B-roll in the final video. Even though it went unnoticed, I was able to connect with other artists in the contest and share my story with them. And that meant more than anything to me. People I knew began reaching out to me because they never knew the struggles I faced, even though they saw me often. This should open our eyes to the possibility that we may not understand completely the struggles others face. We may think we know them, but they may be going through a trial they never mentioned to you. Seeing my own story take place and the choices I have made because of outside factors, I have realized that everyone goes through something tough no matter their background. And we get to choose who we become despite our story. I could have chosen to focus on myself and be bitter and selfish, but he gave me eyes to see that there is a hurting world, that by sharing hope with others, these negative patterns can be put to an end, one person at a time. I learned that it is healthy to have boundaries, that you don't have to allow toxic behavior into your life. I can see that the choices to be loving and pursue joy also have a positive effect on my children. They get to have a good childhood. The way my life changed put an end to a negative generational pattern for good. If you have faced hardship, I pray that you find the help you need to step out of the muck onto solid ground. You may be confused or even roll your eyes when I mention that it was God who changed my life, and that's okay. You have to come to your own conclusions. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that through the darkest times in my life, I encountered God in a way that changed me to my core. I experienced a relationship with the Lord, and He did nothing less than miracles in my life, and I cannot deny that He is God. He is real, and He cares about me so much that He paid everything for me. And that is true for you too. I could tell you moment upon moment, but you probably wouldn't believe me unless you experienced it yourself. I hope my story helps you, or at least makes you ponder on such things. I'm really glad to be an artist. But as far as my legacy goes, I want to be like Enoch. Enoch walked with God, and then was not because God took him. And by his faith, Enoch pleased God. That is exactly the legacy I want to live. Everything else is just a bonus. I hope as many as are willing will choose to do the same. I'll leave you with these words by one of my favorite authors, J.R.R. Tolkien. I believe they sum up my message perfectly. The world is indeed full of peril, and in it there are many dark places. But still, there is much that is fair. And though in all the lands love is now mingled with grief, it grows perhaps the greater.